Hi, I hope you are having an amazing day. It is Saturday morning. I did my workout this morning. Every Saturday I go across the city, wake up at 5 a.m. It was so hard this morning to wake up. And do a can't even speak, a really intense body weight workout, and after it everyone goes out to breakfast and coffee at a cafe nearby, which is definitely the best bit. It's a place called Integrate, and I have been going there for a few months now and absolutely love it. So I did that this morning and came back and thought that I would film a Q&A video. I get a lot of emails, which I absolutely love, and if you ever want to email me about anything at all, my email is sam@smart-20s.com. And so I got this email and I just thought it might be helpful to actually do a video about my reply, or how I would reply to this, because it is something that I hear all the time, and I just thought this kind of video is fun. I really like watching them, so that is what I'm going to do. I will read you the email that I got, and I won't say the name of the person who sent it because I didn't ask whether it was okay for me to share her name, and I get so many emails and a lot with really personal information, and I don't want to share them without anyone's permission, but I won't share who sent it, and yeah, I feel like it's fine. If you think I've crossed the line, let me know, but it's just about study and procrastination, and I know that so many people can relate to this, and I can relate to this because this is what I used to do when I was especially in my first years of uni. So this is the email. Greetings from Malaysia. I'm turning 18 this year and am a freshman college student. Also, just on that note, I never can remember like freshman, sophomore, senior. I don't know. Like when people tell me what, like, I don't know. I never can get it right. And I've seen that many movies and I still can't get it. Anyway, I'm a freshman college student. I'm starting my A-levels this January. So far, it wasn't what I expected it would be. Every day is a struggle. My lectures start at 8 and end at 4, and I get home at 5. By that time, I'm exhausted and would take a nap and wake up at 8 o'clock for dinner. 9 to 12 are my study hours. But yeah, I think you've come across these cases before, which I have. I would procrastinate and poof, it's 2 a.m. and I've got nothing done. Sometimes I'm really surprised at how much I procrastinate. The problem is I keep telling myself in the morning that this is the day I will start being hardworking, and the whole thing kind of repeats. I really hope that you have some advice for me. Looking forward to your reply. So, as she said, that is a question I get asked all the time. I have a lot of personal experience with study and procrastination, and I can totally relate to the situation of having a really long uni day and then coming home and being exhausted and trying to make yourself study at night, and it just feels like there isn't enough time, or more importantly, enough energy to get everything done. My answer as well is going to be based on the presumption that she is a perfectionist, because she found me through my blog, which is about perfectionism. And when I say perfectionist, I mean that all or nothing mentality, fear of failing, fear of judgment, fear of not being good enough. I am going to presume that all of that is part of her life as well, because that is who I am now still. I'm trying to change it, but it takes time and work. And that it's really who I am talking to. Oh, I keep hitting this damn table. So I have a few recommendations based on what she shared with me, and if you're in a similar situation, this is what I would recommend trying. I've written them down because I gave this some thought before I started filming, but it's all kind of intertwined, and really does talk about perfectionism. So the first thing I wrote down was the whole 3 hours thing. So she said that she has 9 to midnight as her study hours. And just speaking from my experience as a perfectionist, when we have a set, so like 3 hours where we want to be studying, we have extremely high expectations of ourselves. We want to feel productive all the time. We want everything to feel like we're getting the answers right and we're making progress. And if we think before we start that we might not be able to be productive, we often don't want to try it all, which leads to procrastination, because procrastination is just avoidance of uncomfortable feelings, which is feeling like we don't know what we're doing, feeling bored, feeling challenged, anything like that. We try to avoid it. So we watch YouTube videos, and maybe that's why you're watching this right now. We look on Pinterest, we tidy our room, anything we can to avoid actually sitting down and studying. So what I found helpful, I use this with blogging, and it's very similar to study because there is so much resistance that comes up when I sit down to write something. It definitely reminds me of uni. Instead of saying I want to be really productive for 3 hours, I say to myself, I want to sit down for an hour, and whether or not I actually do something or I just sit there looking at a blank screen, I'm just going to sit there for an hour. I'm not going to look at my phone. I am not going to, browse the internet when I get bored. I can either sit there and do nothing, or I can sit there and do the work, but the goal is just to sit there. And it does take a bit of practice to not let yourself get distracted, because you will want to procrastinate when you're like, oh, this is a waste of time, blah, blah. But changing it to just 1 hour, and the goal isn't to be productive, the goal is to just sit there and be in that space. I find it just sets that threshold and my expectations so much lower, and then I find it so much easier to get started. And then once I get started, it's a lot easier to continue, instead of having this giant 3 hour productivity mountain I feel like I need to climb. It's just this 1 hour of sitting. And that's fairly easy to do. It is hard if you are in the habit of picking up your phone every 2 seconds. It is something to be learned, but that is how I approach that aspect of it. Another thing I wrote down as well is to create a morning routine. Well, this is what I found helpful. Having a morning routine with as few decisions in it as possible. I think I have done another video on this. I can't actually remember if I have or if I planned to, but I feel like I have definitely talked about it on camera in some video. I will remember it and I will link it. It was in my productivity video. Having a morning routine with as few decisions, ideally 0, as possible, meaning you're not deciding what to wear in the morning, you're not deciding what to eat for breakfast, you're not deciding what order you're going to get ready, if you're going to read or meditate or whatever. Everything is pre-planned so that you have no decisions to make in the morning, so that you don't use your decision-making energy on insignificant decisions, which means you will have more decision-making capacity at the end of the day, which is often where we all struggle. Is after work, we're absolutely exhausted and we just make a lot of shit decisions at night. In my experience, that shit decision making definitely isn't as bad when I have been intentional with the earlier part of my day and haven't wasted half an hour choosing what I'm going to wear and all of that kind of thing. It's so draining. So you don't need a full-on morning routine to be able to do that, but just making sure that you are not spending a lot of time making really insignificant decisions in the morning or throughout your day. Like, I eat the same stuff over and over again, more so maybe out of laziness. I don't know. I don't want to have to choose what I want to eat all the time. There are just a few things that I really like eating and I eat them all the time. But it definitely leaves me more decision-making energy throughout the day. If you want to know more about it, definitely have a look up, a Google of decision fatigue. I've learned about it mainly through Tim Ferriss, who I probably end up talking about in every YouTube video I do, but his name is Tim Ferriss, Ferriss. So that is another recommendation that I would have to make sure you have better decision making energy at night, make good and few decisions in the morning or throughout the day. The other thing I recommend is, and of course, as I say this, it's easier to give advice than to take it, and I'm aware of that, but this is the recommendations that I would give to myself as well, and would do my best to implement and play around with. And yeah, I'm a nerd about all this stuff, so I'm constantly thinking about it and do actually play around with all of this stuff all the time. But I noticed in her email she mentioned that she's completely exhausted, so when she gets home she has a nap, it sounded like, from about 5 o'clock till 8, and then has dinner and then tries to study. So, and because she's procrastinating, then she gets to bed at 2, and if her classes start at 8, she's not getting very much sleep. So it makes sense that she feels like she needs the nap. So what I would have a look at doing is, instead of having the nap, to really make that first hour when you get home, try and keep the ball rolling from the day, or even if you need like half an hour, but I would try to not lose that momentum, because if you're anything like me, once you get home and have a shower and get in your pajamas, you are really not in a productive mood anymore. So it might mean a few nights of giving yourself permission not to study so that you can get a proper sleep, so that you don't need to nap in the afternoon before dinner. And that shouldn't be an issue, because if you're procrastinating until 2 a.m, you're not getting anything done anyway. So just give yourself permission to have a few days to take care of yourself. And then I would recommend really just trying to keep that momentum from the day going. Ideally, as you're traveling home from uni, plan what you're going to work on. I think part of the struggle I've had with procrastination comes from trying to avoid overwhelm. So if there are 20 million things I feel like I want to do, I end up doing none, because I can't pick which is most important. And yeah, so I just procrastinate, and it feels like, well, if I can't get 20 million things done, I may as well get none done, which I know doesn't make sense, but I know you can relate. So having that clear plan as you're getting home of what you want to focus on, making it only one thing, not I'm going to finish this assignment, then I'm going to research that, and then I'm going to look up this. Just give yourself that one thing. You can always add more, but creating momentum is so huge. And once you have it from the day, not letting it go, because I'm not surprised if you are coming home and napping for 3 hours and then trying to study. That is hard, because you've lost any momentum that you've had throughout the day. And of course, if you're not getting much sleep because you're up till 2 a.m. procrastinating, it's really that vicious cycle. And I think, as I was saying, it is easier to give advice than to take it. But if I was in that situation, I would really have a look at how to get out of that sleep cycle, because I don't think the best answer is how to be more productive between 9 and 12. I think it's how to get a proper sleep every night. And I feel like such a hypocrite saying that, because I am horrible with sleep. It's something it's always the first to go if I want to be productive. And I know intellectually not a smart move, but for whatever reason, I think maybe some of it's the glorification of busyness, and I've really bought into that. But yeah, my advice, I guess, to summarize, is to give yourself a few days to get into a better sleep pattern, or it could take a week. But if you're currently procrastinating all the time, it is well worth giving yourself that permission, because you're not getting anything done anyway, so you may as well spend your time transitioning to something that will work. So give yourself permission to get back into that normal sleep cycle of not having a large nap when you get home from uni or school. Freshman's college. She said college. It's from college. All we have here is high school and uni. There's no freshman, sophomore. So getting into a good sleep pattern, and part of that I would recommend is when you wake up, making sure that at least the first 15 to 30 minutes of your morning don't have any decisions. So if there are decisions that need to be made, like what you're going to wear, you'd make that the night before. And it's not as draining because you reset in the morning, essentially. The sleep resets your decision-making capabilities to some extent, but if you are extremely fatigued, then I think that's when it doesn't reset, and that's when shit gets real. But getting into a good sleep pattern and then creating a morning routine, it can be so simple. It can be what you're already doing, but just removing any decisions. And what else did I write? Oh, like the routine when you get home, and doing your best to maintain the momentum that you have throughout the day, having a plan, not having a super long to-do list. I know perfectionists bloody love to-do lists. They are often not helpful unless it's a priority list. So really knowing those priorities and having as little on there as possible, because if you're a perfectionist, you set really high standards for yourself, and if you have 20 million things to do and you don't think you'll be able to live up to those standards, you will probably not even try at all, because failing by default feels better than just flat out failing. So having a priority list with one thing on it is what I recommend. Doing that thing, just sitting down, not creating that really high expectation for yourself, but just saying, when I get home from uni, I'm just going to sit at my desk for an hour with the intention of doing X activity. I'm not going to look at my phone. When the hour's up, if I haven't got anything done, then I will move on. I'll enjoy the time with my family, with whoever I'm with. I'll relax and let myself do it guilt-free. If I've picked up some momentum, I will keep going until dinner. And then after dinner, I will wind down and get a proper night's sleep. So I know it's easier said than done. I share a lot of tools for how to do that stuff on my blog, and I have a whole course about it called Dream Habit. You can find out more. I will link it down below the description box. That's just the step-by-step process. I did talk about a lot of things, and there are a lot of moving parts, and in that course I go through the order that I would recommend learning everything and putting it into practice. But that is my answer to that question. I hope you have found this video extremely helpful. If you have, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I share a new video every single day, and I will see you in the next one. I don't know why I keep clapping today, but whatever. Bye.